Long time ago, there lived couple named Mike and Juliet. Mike first saw Juliet in front of the St. Peter Catholic Church, where the choir practiced on Saturday evening. Her laughter rose above the hum of traffic, bright as the bell that called the faithful to prayer. He had come to deliver some tools across the road, but he found himself watching the way the sun shined her cheeks with honey light. Juliet noticed him too, a tall man with careful eyes and a quiet smile, and show from a honest work. The friendship began with a polite greeting and a promise to keep going. Their conversation stretched like the Lagos light, about family hopes, about building a home, about raising children who will know both discipline and tenderness. Months later, they got married. When they married, everyone said this was a union of patience and joy. Dance until the lantern low. They play love, show each other love and care for each other. Mike and Juliet met in their late 20s. From the very first day, it was clear they were drawn to each other not just by attraction, but by a desire to please one another in every possible way. They were the kind of couple who couldn't stop holding hands in public, who finish each other's sentence, and who share everything from food to secrets. Friends admire them, and elders in the community often use them as an example of what a marriage should look like. They prayed together, worked hard together, and laughed together. Life seemed perfect except for one thing. After their weddings, years began to pass without a cry of a baby in their home. At first, they told themselves not to worry. They visited doctors, tried herbs, and went for prayers in churches across the state. Family members began to complain, while some advised Mike to take another woman, while others advised Juliet to seek help from traditional healers. But Mike always silenced them with the same answer. Juliet is the only woman for me, he would say. His devotion reassured her, but deep inside, she still prayed every day for the sound of little footsteps in their home. After 7 long years, their prayers was answered. Juliet gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Grace. Mike and Juliet showered her with love and affection. She became the center of their world. They gave her the best clothes, the finest toys, and sent her to one of the best private schools in Lagos. Mike especially doted on her, treating her like a rare jewelry that must never be scratched. Whenever Grace cried, he would drop everything to comfort her. If she was sick, he would sit by her bed all night. When Grace turned 10, her closeness with her father became very noticeable. She preferred to sit beside him whenever they went out. At home, she would always run into his arm after school, sometimes ignoring her mother completely. Juliet at first thought nothing of it. It is normal for father and daughter to be close, she told herself. After all, she was grateful that Mike loved his daughter so deeply, but slowly little things began to unsettle her. One night, after dinner, Grace insists on sleeping in the same bed as her father, while her mother was asked to sleep in the guest room. She always wanted to sit right next to him and share from his plate. When they drove to church, Grace always demanded to sit in the front seat beside her father, leaving Juliet to sit in the back. She is just a child, Juliet would whisper to herself, brushing off the uneasy feeling in her chest. Years passed, and Grace blossomed into a stunning young woman. By the time she was 20, the bond she had with her father had become unusual. She no longer behaved like a typical daughter. She always wanted to spend her evening in his room, sitting close to him, laughing, whispering, and sometimes refusing to let her mother join them. If her mother suggested they spend time together as women, Grace would say, "Maybe later, mommy. I am with daddy now." The house began to feel like a silent battlefield between mother and daughter. One Sunday after service, Mike drove the family home as always. Grace sat in front of the seat beside him, laughing at his jokes, holding his arm. Juliet watched them from the back seat, her heart heavy. Something deep inside told her that this was not just innocent closeness anymore. Grace's first brush with romance came when she met a young man named Ife at a friend's birthday party. He was polite, charming, and treated her with respect. He asked her out and she agreed. Their first date was at a small cafe in town, and from then on, they saw each other often. For the first time, Grace began to feel what it meant to be loved by someone outside her family. She smiled more, laughed more, and her friends noticed the glowing in her face. "Girl, I can see you are very happy these days," her friend said. Then she replied, "I don't know what it meant to be loved, but I really feel I'm on top of the world." They both laughed as they discussed and gist. However, just 2 months into the relationship, all of a sudden, he started ignoring her calls and her message. They were planning a weekend outing, and the next he sent a short text. "I think we should stop seeing each other. I am sorry." And he gave no explanation. Grace was heartbroken. She cried for days, unable to understand what went wrong. A few months later, she met another man named Kunle through a friend at her university. He was everything she wanted, kind and serious about their future. Within weeks, they grew closer, and Kunle began talking about marriage. On the day he planned to propose, Kunle invited her to a quiet dinner. She had no idea that he had brought a ring and was ready to take the next step. But just hours before the dinner, Kunle called her and said in a flat voice, "Grace, I think it is best we don't see each other anymore, and don't ask me why." He turned and walked away. Once again, she was left confused, hurt, and humiliated. What Grace didn't know was that her father had been watching her closely. Mike had secretly called both Ife and Kunle, telling them lies about his own daughter. Things so damaging that both men decided to cut ties with her without explanation. He told them that Grace had a dangerous temper, that she was ungrateful, and that she was mentally unstable because she was cursed. His goal was simple, just to keep her all to himself. When she eventually found out the truth, she confronted him one hot afternoon in the sitting room. "Daddy," she said, her voice shaking, "I know you are the one chasing those men away from me." Mike looked at her without shame. "And I will do it again," he replied coldly. "No man will ever have you. I am the only one made for you. Don't you get it? Why are you trying to share yourself with another man?" At that moment, Juliet walked in, having overheard their conversation. Her voice trembling as she asked, "Mike, what am I hearing? You and your daughter? Her words strayed off, but the meaning was clear. Both father and daughter froze. Grace, out of shock and shame, she ran out of the house and spent the night at her friend's place. The next morning, devastating news reached her. Her mother was dead. Some said it was a heart attack brought on by grief. However, Grace knew that it was her father's handwork, that Mike had a hand in it. Grief turned to rage inside Grace. She returned home, stood before her father and said, "I know you killed her so you can have your way in my life. But today it ends. This is the end of your rule over my life." Without waiting for a reply, she turned and walked out. Weeks later, Mike's life began to crumble. His relatives abandoned him, refusing to bring him food or check on him. Loneliness ate at his soul. Then one evening, he suffered a stroke. He lay alone, helpless, unable to speak, in a quiet house with no one to care for him. Months later, he died alone. When the news reached Grace, she felt nothing, no tears, no sadness, only relief. She had finally been free from the curse her father had placed on her life. Not long after, she met a man who loved her for who she was. This time, there was no one to stand in the way. They got married, and Grace lived a happy, peaceful life, free at last. Thank you for watching this video, bestie. Moral lesson: parental love should empower, not imprison. A parent's role is to guide a child toward independence, not to tie them down for personal satisfaction. Love must allow space. True love, whether from a parent or partner, lets the other person grow, choose, and flourish. Thank you for watching this video. Kindly share your thoughts with me in the comment section. What lesson did you learn from this story? Share this story with your loved ones. And please subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Till I bring another story your way. Bye.